bowl bakers. Since I got my Alpha Pizza oven from Italy, I have been doing tons of bread making. Something that you have requested a lot have been soft pretzels. So I have a great recipe to share with you today using my favorite no-knead technique. So you get great results with little work. So let's get baking. I have made no-knead cinnamon rolls and brioche here on Bigger Bolder Baking, and it is my favorite method because you do not need a machine. You mix your dough by hand and you let it ferment overnight. So it really takes the guesswork out of dough making. We're going to make our dough in a large bowl. Add in your flour, salt, sugar and yeast, and then mix all of these ingredients together well. So I'm using a bread flour for this recipe because it yields you a soft pretzel. However, if you like yours crispier and kind of on the drier side, then use all-purpose flour. To our dry ingredients, I'm going to add in our water and we're going to mix it together until a dough forms. You can use a wooden spoon or your hand to bring your dough together. I like to use my hand to mix my dough because you can feel how wet or dry your dough is and you know at what stage it's at. And there you have it. This is the hardest work you're going to have to do for this recipe. There's your dough, there's a lovely clean bowl, it's perfect. So we are going to put it back in the bowl. Now you want to make sure that your bowl is large because we're going to proof our dough in here and it's going to rise maybe 2 to 3 times the amount. So you want to make sure there's lots of nice space for it. Cover your bowl tightly in cling wrap. You want to make sure that no air gets in there. And then lay a tea towel on top. Make a nice little bed for your dough so it's nice and happy when it grows. And that's it, your dough is done. We're going to leave this guy at room temperature for 12 to 18 hours and we're going to let time do its work. It's going to ferment, it's going to get lovely and bubbly and it's going to be ready to make pretzels in no time. I have a pretzel dough here that I made around 15 hours ago. And if you have a little look, you can see how much it has grown. So this is my favorite part of no-knead doughs. When you pull back the cling film and you get that lovely boozy fermented smell, that is all flavor. When you bake that, it's going to taste so good, kind of salty. It's going to give it such good depth. And you see all of these lovely bubbles in the dough. That is texture that you have built over the last 12 or whatever hours. It is just such a beautiful way to make doughs. I really hope you try it. We're going to flour our surface and turn our dough out onto the table. I want you to see this really fast. Can you see those strands of gluten? That is why we don't need a machine, because time has made and created all of this beautiful structure. I can already tell by the look of it that it's a beautiful dough and going to yield us some fantastic pretzels. Lightly flour the top of your dough and then just knock out the air. Lovely, look how soft that is. I just love working with dough. It just amazes me how with the same ingredients, flour, salt, yeast and water, you can make thousands of different breads. So now we're just going to take our cutter and slice up our dough for pretzels. Just try and make them as even as possible. They don't have to be perfect. Once you've cut your dough, you might just want to sprinkle a little bit of flour on them so they don't get too sticky. So we're just going to take our tea towel and gently lay it over them and we're going to let them hang out and relax for around 5 minutes. So when we go back to roll them, it'll be much easier. Now that our dough is relaxed, I'm going to show you how to shape a pretzel. It is really easy and it's really fun. We're just going to take one of our long pieces of dough. You might want a little bit of flour on your surface and then just roll it out. To get your pretzel nice and long and in even shape, this is a really fun thing to do. Isn't that funny? I think that's such a fun technique. There you go, look, lovely long pretzel. To shape your pretzel, we're going to make it into a half moon, turn the ends over on each other, and then push them down on the other side of the dough. You want to make sure that you have nice big holes here and there because when it bakes, those will get smaller. So you want to make sure you have got good definition and a nice looking pretzel. Okay, this one is done. We're going to put it onto the tray and then we're going to continue with the rest of them. Make sure you give yourself a good bit of room to roll out your dough. If you want to do some variations, you can always make little garlic knots. Just take a bit of dough, cut it in around 4 pieces, do a quick little knot, and there you go. And we're going to boil them and cook them the exact same way as we're going to do the big pretzels. Also, if you want to make just little bites, you just take your cutter, just cut little bite-sized pieces, cook them off, and they're perfect. Now we've got our pretzel shaped, our next step is to boil them to give them that lovely chewy texture. We have a pot of simmering water and baking soda. We're going to take our pretzel, put it straight into the water. We're just going to cook it for 30 seconds. The reason that we do this is because it gives it that flavor and texture that we're used to when it comes to pretzels, that kind of like chewiness. Take your slotted spoon and put it back on your baking tray. Now at this stage, if you need to shape it again a little bit, while it's still warm, feel free to do that. And then just continue with the rest of your pretzels. From when you shape your pretzels, you really want to get this next step done as fast as you can, because the longer they sit, the wetter they're going to get and the harder they are to pick up off the tray. Our pretzels are looking great. Now just before they go in the oven, I'm going to give them a little bit of egg wash on top so they get a lovely golden brown colour. And also, I'm going to finish them off with some sea salt. If you don't have sea salt, don't worry about it. You can always just use regular table salt. And feel free to experiment by putting other things on top, like maybe even cheese. Cheese would be delicious. Maybe whole fennel seeds, that'd be nice. The wood has died down and the oven has reached 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 225 degrees Celsius, so it is perfect for cooking off these pretzels. So let's go. I can see my pretzels in the oven and they're a beautiful golden brown, so I'm going to go take them out. These guys look fantastic. Look at that beautiful colour. And they smell gorgeous. So here's a little trick that you have to do when pretzels just come out of the oven. You're going to get a little bit of melted butter and we're going to brush them really fast while they're still nice and steaming, and all the butter will soak into them. Remember those pretzel knots that we made earlier? Well, I brushed them with some butter and sprinkled some chopped rosemary on top and served them with a honey mustard sauce. And for the pretzel bites, I brushed them with butter and sprinkled them in cinnamon sugar. All of these recipes that you see in today's video can be found on biggerbolderbaking.com. I really want to try one of these pretzels while they're still warm, and I want you to see what it looks like on the inside. If you can see the lovely texture in there, that's what the fermenting does. It gives you all of those lovely bubbles, all that texture. It's really fantastic for a dough. And if you give them a little smell, they smell salty from all the fermenting and buttery because we just doused them in butter. These are absolutely delicious and they're nice and bready too. I'm going to take a little bite. Oh man. I really encourage you to try this recipe because I know that you guys are well able for it and will really like it. Let me know what recipes you want to see me make in my pizza oven. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'll see you back here every Thursday for more Bigger Bolder Baking.